You think you're just lazy, or bad at relationships, or maybe deep down just broken. But what if none of that was true? What if the things you hate about yourself today weren't even yours to begin with? Because here's the truth. Childhood trauma doesn't disappear. It mutates. It grows up with you. And if you don't recognize its face, you'll spend your entire adult life calling around your personality. Let's lift the veil. This is what childhood trauma actually looks like in adults. And I promise you, it's not what you've been told. In 1957, a psychologist named Leon Festinger discovered something eerie. He was studying a doomsday cult that believed the world would end on December 21st. When the prophecy failed, they didn't fall apart. They doubled down. Why? Because the human mind protects itself from chaos. Now, what does that have to do with childhood trauma? Everything. As kids, when we're hurt by people we trust, whether it's neglect, yelling, constant judgment, or cold silence, we're faced with an unbearable truth. The people I need might not be safe, but instead of falling apart, we double down. We put on masks. We become the smart one, the peacemaker, the overachiever. We become palatable. And one day, we forget it was a mask at all. Here's a chilling truth from attachment science. Many adults don't fear intimacy because they don't want connection. They fear it because connection once meant danger. So what do? They sabotage. They ghost. They over-apologize. They laugh too loud. They date emotionally unavailable people. Or they become the emotionally unavailable ones. Not because they're bad, but because once, a long time ago, they learned that vulnerability equals pain. Let me tell you about something called the default mode network. It's a part of your brain that activates when you're doing nothing, just sitting, daydreaming, reflecting. But here's the thing. In adults with unresolved childhood trauma, that resting state becomes a torture chamber. Why? Because the default mode network replays the past. Think of it like a broken record whispering old fears. You're not safe. You're not enough. Something bad is coming. That's why people with trauma often can't relax in silence. They need noise, chaos, distraction. Anything but stillness. Here's a hidden fact. Overactive DMNs have been found in adults with PTSD, complex trauma, and even severe depression. And it's not just mental. In 1992, a researcher named Dr. Vincent Felitti made a terrifying discovery while studying obesity. He found that people with high adverse childhood experience, ACE, scores weren't just more likely to be overweight. They were more likely to die early from heart disease, from cancer, from suicide. Why? Because trauma doesn't just change how you think. It changes how your cells age. It literally wears out your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA, like a candle burning from both ends. You don't just feel broken. You're biologically under siege. Have you ever gotten a weird rash during a stressful time? Felt tightness in your chest before a hard conversation? Or had gut issues that doctors couldn't explain? That's not coincidence. That's memory. But not the kind you can recall. The kind your body holds. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, found that childhood trauma reshapes how the nervous system reacts forever. Hypervigilance, sleep disorders, IBS, fibromyalgia, even autoimmune diseases have links to early emotional trauma. But modern medicine rarely asks, what happened to you? Instead, it asks, what's wrong with you? So we medicate the symptoms. But we never pull out the root. In ancient Egypt, trauma was treated through ritual and sweat. They understood something we forgot. Healing requires witnessing. And that leads us to something profound. You might think trauma starts with you, but what if it didn't? In 2005, researchers studied the grandchildren of Holocaust survivors. None of them had lived through camps. And yet, they showed higher cortisol reactivity, increased anxiety, and similar stress hormone signatures to their grandparents. They inherited the echo. This is epigenetics, the study of how trauma can alter gene expression without changing the DNA itself. Imagine passing down fear like a family heirloom, not through stories, through blood. This also showed up in Rwanda after the genocide, and again in children born near 9/11. So when someone says just get over it, they're asking you to silence not just your pain, but generations of it. One of the most deceptive tricks trauma pulls is this. It makes you think it's you. I'm just bad at relationships. I just can't focus. I'm just too sensitive. No, that's the scar speaking. Because here's what most people never realize. Trauma doesn't just wound you, it rewrites your story. But healing isn't about finding a new story. It's about remembering the one that was stolen. Here's something powerful from narrative psychology. Studies show that when trauma survivors reauthor their stories with focus on meaning, not just pain, they heal faster. Why? Because the brain isn't just a processor, it's a storyteller. And if you don't write the narrative, trauma will. You don't heal trauma by moving on. You heal it by moving through. And here's the twist. It rarely looks like what Instagram tells you. It's not a retreat in Bali. It's not affirmations on a vision board. It's noticing when your stomach tightens and asking, what am I afraid of? It's pausing before reacting. It's crying and not knowing why. Healing is awkward. It's lonely. And it's one of the bravest things a person can do. Because here's the truth most won't tell you. The first step to healing is grieving the childhood you never got to have. And then building the safety you were never given. Not all at once, but breath by breath. You are not your trauma, but you are responsible for what you do with it now. You can keep running, or you can turn around and face the ghost. Because it's not just about healing you. It's about breaking the cycle, so that the child inside you, and maybe one day the child beside you, can grow up without the weight you carried. Remember, the adult is just a child in disguise. But healing, that's how you finally take off the mask.